Alrighty, we didn't get second. We didn't get first. But for the first time, we've gotten third, so we're really excited. Anyway, here we are. This year, I was playing Dracotail. Really excited about Dracotail. Dracotail is a really fun deck. Feels very fair. It's never doing something that is like, wow, I can't believe they won because they... No, it's like everything is very clear, and it's just a lot of fun. And it's has a lot of variety in how you build, which is funny because you're gonna look at my deck and you were like, these are just the Dracotail cards. But the way that you choose to use them and the way you choose to do like non-engine is very particular. So let's just roll through that. I'll move this stuff off to the side. Okay, in terms of Dracotails, there's kind of two categories. There are the spellcasters, the 3 Lucius and the 3 Fiendsmith. Those are the spellcasters. These spellcasters all have that same effect where when they use this fusion material, set a Dracotail spell trap, which is great. You want to open almost as many Dracotail names as possible because when you do fuse, you're getting all of that extra advantage, right? You're able to set your spell traps and just be able to use them on the next turn or the same turn if it's a regular spell. Lucius on normal lets you add a Dracotail monster, which is great because you need to have a monster in hand to fuse for the fusions. Fiendsmith is a quick effect to fuse, meaning Fiendsmith is the in-archetype hand trap. It is the way of getting your stuff started turn 0, and you really want to go second for the most part. You can go first. You play traps that are good, but some decks really don't play into them, and honestly, you can break a lot more than you can play through. Honorary Dracotail spellcaster is Cartesia. Cartesia is great because it has the quick effect to fuse as a body, right? So just activate, it becomes poly, right? And it has the effect that if a fusion goes to grave during the turn while it's in grave, it gets to add itself back during the end phase. So it refills your hand, which you need cards in hand to get your Dracotail fusions. Okay, those are the spellcasters and the honorary Dracotail. Now we get into the dragons. So Malulu works almost the exact way as Cartesia, right? Quick effect to fuse during the main phase. It's great, but Malulu and the other 2 dragons, Urgula and Pan, all have a bonus effect when they're sent as fusion material. This negates a monster. This destroys a spell trap. Negates a monster, destroys a spell trap, destroys a monster. All 3 are non-targeting, which is crazy because your opponent tries to chain, tag out, and then you just negate the new thing or pop the new thing or do whatever, and then it misses timing, and it's great. The best one of these in terms of the alternate effect, Malulu's great, but Urgula is what lets you set up your grind. You can banish it to add back a spellcaster like Fiendsmith or Lucius. Pan has the best pop effect, which is pop a monster, but it has the weakest secondary effect, which is if a fusion goes to grave, you can special a non-fusion. Theoretically, it's really good because you could go banish, right? Say my fusion gets outed by destruction, it triggers, and I could summon Malulu on my opponent's turn, then Malulu to fuse, or special Lucius add Fiendsmith to fuse. It's really good in theory, except there's a lot of non-destruction, and it literally is only destruction by card effect. So very limited in application, but you play 2 because you just want to open 1 to be able to fuse. They're great. The more Dracotail names you see, the more often you're able to set your spell traps, which we'll get to in just a second. The last monster that is not a hand trap is King of the Swamp. King of the Swamp, in theory, allows you to kind of make fusions that are not Dracotails, right? Use the fusion effect, and it will replace the name. We'll talk about what you can summon in the extra later, but it also has the secondary effect of discarding to search Poly, which opens up Guardian Chimera lines, which are great because that card is very strong. Okay, that is it in terms of cards that actively do something that contribute to your game plan. In terms of fusing and stuff, and now into the other monsters, right? So you play almost entirely monster non-engine because, again, you need cards in hand to fuse. So you play a Droll, you play 3 Ash, you play 3 Ogre, you play 2 Bell, just because I didn't really feel like fitting in 3. Thought Bell was fine, but I thought it was less good than these other 3. Especially since you're playing 3 Fua, which could draw you into the Bell, or the 3 Nib. Normally, you could make the argument that because you're playing a Fua, you don't need to play 3 Nib because you draw into it by the time they have summoned 5 times. With this deck, you really want to have Nib because Nib plus the threat of the Fimena means if they do set up a monster negate, you've got the other one to deal with the board. Ideally, you'd want this to resolve first because then you can get your stuff engraved. But this resolving first works also totally fine. So really good. I almost feel mandatory to play Nib with Dracotail. Okay, that is all of the monsters. It is a majority of the deck. Getting into the couple of spells, the 1 Poly that we search off of the King of the Swamp came up today, made Guardian Chimera, and it completely won that game. We play the 3 Rahu. People think of this as branded fusion, but because you need to use a monster in the hand for Dracotail fusions, you can only use 1 sent from deck. If they print a Dracotail fusion that doesn't require a monster in the hand, this card becomes instantly broken. For now, it is just pretty good. The better spell, which is why you want to go second, is Ketu, because it adds 1 to hand and then you fuse. So it's like this, except now you get an extra bounce with Ryzeal. It's amazing. Those are the spells. You play 2 traps because you only need 1 of each, but these are very important. Horn bounces an attack position. This negates a spell. These can both be ashed and belled, so they are kind of fragile. Now, let's look at the extra deck and see the ways that this can be less fragile. I would tell you an amount of main deck cards, but I kind of forgot how many are in there. So you can figure it out. You can do some quick math. Here's the extra deck. You play 3 Ryzeal because you need to make Dracotail fusions. This guy's amazing. My favorite one is Leo, which is a misprint because he's missing the N. Yippee! He gets to bounce up to the number of monsters used in hand for his fusion. Honestly, sometimes I'd fuse my entire hand and then just bounce them all back, just, for the fun of it. Not really, because then you also trigger all the guys. So it's great. Ryzeal is how you keep your deck running. It's amazing. The other fusion is Gulamel. Gulamel works the same way as like Lady Labyrinth or Thunder Dragon Titan, where it will pop as long as you can chain to your own effect. So you activate an effect, your opponent has a window to respond. If they don't, you get a pop. Both of them share the effect. If they're in the grave already and 2 or more monsters go to the grave, that can be yours or your opponent's, they come back. It's great. One of that won me a game. My opponent made an SP and I was kind of sitting on nothing, and then he just came out and now I had a 3k guy. They also have really big attack, so it's really easy to go for game and not worry about nib. You can get basically all 3 guys in like 3-4 summons. Okay, the only reason for the King of the Swamp is Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. You can summon this with Malulu and King of the Swamp, and this, after it battles, will get you back a trap. So if you somehow had your traps be interrupted and they're stuck in the grave and now you can't recycle, he gets you back your traps. Worked out great today. He cleared a board because he can attack everything. It's cool. Chorizo. Chorizo is cool because you can just make a fusion summon if you've got both of these guys out and you were like, man, I really want to get them engraved so that when I send 2 monsters, they come back. They can just contact fuse into this guy. He's pretty cool. He's also a spellcaster, meaning he can be part of this card, Mysterian Dragon, which also works Spellcaster Dragon. Mysterian is such a weird card because when it doesn't work, it's just like whatever. And then every time it works, it's like crazy. Your opponent specials a thing, using a monster effect special thing with the type that was specialed, and then you just banish all of them. This wiped like 4 dragons off my opponent's board at one point, and it was awesome. Guardian Chimera, you make off the poly, you draw cards, you pop cards, yeah. SP's great. Your fusions, once you use their effect, are pretty much worthless, so you just link, you basically treat them like a link 1 and link off into SP. Celine, I never made it today, but theoretically, right? You add a bunch of spell counters on it, and then you could just reborn the Lucius and get a search. You could reborn the Gulamel and get pops. It's nice. You could just sit on it. Cross shape, same kind of thing as Chorizo. You link off your guys, your fusions come back, then you get to reborn a thing. This is your going first board. If you start with Lucius, you can do your combo. Link this off. Theoretically, you've got like Lucius plus an Arthalion. Link one, that turns into a dragon. Now you've got 2 dragons. You make seals. Now you can summon Malulu on your opponent's turn and then fuse more. You get the point of the deck. It's about fusing. You play Typhon in case things go wrong. Okay, the side deck, finally. We play an extra copy of Flame just in case we get into grindy games. Often Flame is better. Today, nobody was on spells, it seemed like, for some reason. So it wasn't ideal, but, you know, it's still pretty good. Here is our solution to Floodgates. We don't really want to play MST because it's a spell. This is a Pendulum monster that in the Pendulum Zone can pop a spell trap. If you use it in your hand to fuse, Pendulums, when they're fused from hand, go to grave, so Arthalion can add it back, and then you can use it to pop back row. We play the 2 Kurikara. Your opponent sets up a bunch of negates. This just tributes over them, and then it can reborn a thing from grave, so it just keeps adding that presence to the field, which is pretty cool. In case there's really a lot of back row, we just had an extra spot, so we put in a Lightning Storm, but we put the Duster. If I could put 2 Duster, I'd probably put 2 instead of Lightning Storm, but you know, that's how it goes. Our big monster removal. I played against Mermail today and was like, oh, thank goodness I have this, until I realized one of my fusions is a water, so was less worried. But, you know, it's a good kaiju. It's awesome. And then Diddy Crow was an extra hand trap. I cited in a lot. And last copy of Bell. Yippee, that's the deck. I had a great time, honestly. I know I sound a little tired, but it was a really great day. Really good matches. I only lost to the person really in second place, and then I dropped a game against somebody that I like practiced a ton with and was really proud of. So shout outs to Jack for taking the game off me. Shout outs to Aiden for holding it down under once again. Shout out to Jacob for these beautiful cards. Shout out to Ian for the boulder. And congrats again to Ian for winning this year. I, as always, just love participating. So thank you all for watching, and 707 Squad, you know, get it up there. See ya. Bye.